Hey, Nona, can I hear you say a few lines?
Yeah, I'll say a few lines, get my voice awake here.
Nothing to my camera.
Got anything?
I'm ready.
Yep, thank you, I got it.
Okay.
Nothing to your camera?
No.
You want me to keep talking?
No, give me a second.
All right.
It's on him.
Oh,
He's feeling pressure.
yes.
You see, I told you he's feeling pressure.
It's,
He's been funking around too much.
You get anything now? You should be getting tone.
oh,
No.
oh.
Hey, yes, please. Yeah.
You weren't. Okay, now we got Tom.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Everybody ready to roll?
Yep.
Thanks.
Long sound.
Can you do me a favor and push record on that twice?
Where is it?
Right here.
So push record, you'll see it light up, and then press record again, and you should see the...
Yep,
Yeah.
I got it.
Both things are lit up.
Careful, please.
I know. I see.
Okay.
Mess up my light.
Exactly. All right.
All right.
Hold on one quick second.
Technology.
Yeah.
Slave to the rhythm right here.
You love it, you hate it.
Okay, and everybody rolling?
Yep.
All right. Nona Hendryx, Finding the Funk, take one.
Excellent day. How you doing?
Good.
So
Just,
it's good to have you.
yes, thank you.
If someone asked you to define funk music, what would you say?
Funk music. It's a rhythm that makes your body move. That's funk music. It is you have to move. It's a rhythm that makes your body move. That's it.
What artist for you define funk?
Well, James Brown, of course, Godfather was as funky pretty much as you could get. That's P-Funk. Make my funk the P-Funk, because that's, they want to get funked up. The Isleys were funky, a lot of times the records weren't as funky as they were live, but they were funky. Let's see. Funk. I'd say, this is Big Bad Mama Jamma.
Oh, Carl Carlton.
That there's one funked up too. There's more. I mean, Rick James, cameo. Who else? Rufus, Chaka Khan. It's a long list. And Sly and Family Stone. Sly is all the way there. Funk. Yeah, I mean that's my go-to funk.
Okay, talk to me. Why do you think, you're an artist, you were recording this whole period. What made that happen? Why did it evolve from soul, in your opinion, to this other kind of music, which was more instrumental, I guess you'd say? It went from, like, soul music is really about backing the singer.
Yeah.
And so, like, funk was about the band is as big as the singer.
Yeah.
What kind of led to that, you think?
Well, you had bands who were doing that. If you go to King Curtis and some other bands, but specifically King Curtis, he was really the leader, horn player, and the band. And then you had some other bands as well. I can't think of them right now, but it's a similar thing. And I think that's what it grew out of, where you didn't have to be a crooner singer to engage an audience. It was really because black people want to dance, and so you can't always have the artists on stage like the Temptations doing all the dancing, or the Pips, or the people want to dance too. So and especially when sometimes the artist would go off stage, like James would go away to change and leave the band on, that was a moment for, in a way, the band and the people to get down. And I think that that's what happened. I think it became much more about, you know, almost to where it is today, where it is all about the people, right? It was the beginning of, okay, we're up here, but you come on and, you know, get down with us, right? That to me is what it changed. The soul thing was much more about watching people and watching what they were doing, and, you know, and not really sweating.
Right.
Sweating. You didn't sweat. You were really just like, you know, enjoying. Funk was about, you know, okay, sort of like the blues got funked up. And then people, because with the blues, people would sweat. So it was sort of like the new kind of blues, you know, thing that happened for me.
Okay, talk about the journey of your band. You were in a very successful vocal group, Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells. You were a Bluebell.
I was a bluebell, true.
And then they became Labelle.
Right.
What was the process of your evolution? Because musically you evolved along with the times and visually.
Yes. Well, I think what happened is that we were, you know, going along being the girl group with the gowns and the tiaras, and like many girl groups, the Supremes, the Chantels, the Marvelettes, all the girl groups, Shirelles, and the whole British invasion happened, and things changed, and you had psychedelia and Vietnam War and peace, love, sex, drugs, rock and roll happened. And if you did not change, you sort of stayed where you were left behind. And I don't know whether we actually, to get to Labelle, there was an evolution that happened, and it was much more about, okay, take off those gowns, take off those wigs, grow an afro, and, you know, put on jeans. And actually the people that, you know, Vicky Wickham and Kit Lambert and Chris Stamp, who managed The Who, came to see us at the Apollo and wanted to sign us to their label. We went to England. We got our minds funked up over there, doing different things, hanging out, doing all kinds of stuff. And it changes your consciousness. And your consciousness, and things have been, you know, things have been happening that we were a part of in terms of changing our consciousness, but that was a major shift, that we came back with this new sound. There was no longer, Cindy Birdsong was no longer part of the group. She had gone a couple of years before that and joined the Supremes. And it had this, we had this change of consciousness. What we were singing about changed, so there you couldn't wear gowns and tiaras and wigs that we were wearing and sing about the revolution will not be televised, the Gil Scott-Heron song, or mix that with, you know, Something in the Air by Thunderclap Newman, or, you know, any of the stuff, the more conscious music that we were making and, you know, performing live. So we had to change.
Interesting. You went to you guys went to your Hendryx moment, kind of. You went to England and.
Yeah, we did. We were there for under a year, but we spent time just working on music, just basically woodshedding, as it's called, and living and exploring. You know, something that for a lot of black artists or for black females at that time was not, you know, every black woman in America wasn't going to England or going to Europe and living and hanging out and in the clubs, you know, the Marquee, the Scotch Club, all the Revolution, all those clubs that were there, and going to Carnaby Street and buying clothes, or Biba and buying clothes and dressing in that, you know, sort of hippie, post-hippie, funky way. So that was our, I guess, Hendryx, you know, period. And we brought that back with us, but we brought it back in a, I don't know, in a way that was not, that had not been seen before for black women.
Talk a bit about the evolution of your clothes. We spoke about how you got like what were the people who inspired you guys in selecting the new outfits that reflected the new consciousness?
It started the whole explosion of space influenced clothing came from Larry Legaspi, Richard Urker, Tony, and there was like 8 guys. They were gay guys. Larry was a designer. He had a shop in the village just off Christopher Street called Moonstone, and the inside looked like a moonscape. He had built craters, and he was making clothes with cabling on it, which looked like the cabling on the moon, you know, when people went to the moon. And, you know, that whole thing of going to the moon was a pretty big experience in our world, you know, that people went to the moon and what they had on, and the whole, you know, technology just took off from there. And the guys came to see us. We were playing the Bitter End. We were playing like everywhere in New York, but there we were in the Bitter End, and the guys would come, and same time, it was like Larry Legaspi and his guys, and Luther Vandross and his friends. And so we had our Black Brigade from the Apollo coming down to the Bitter End, and then we had the gay guys from the, you know, Christopher Street area coming over, and this mix of people that we had coming to the Bitter End had not been mixing together. And from, you know, people from the Apollo were coming down to the Bitter End. This is, what, 1970, right? And so Larry influenced us with this design that he had. He first took us to like sort of like post-60s Batwing type of psychedelic things that we had on. There's a album cover of us where it's the 3 of us. We've got our afros. We're looking like 3 Angela Davis. You good?
Yes.
Okay, so
Okay,
talk.
So the the stage on the Metropolitan Opera House is really huge, and we didn't use all of the stage, so to fill in the stage, we needed to come up with some things to make it to make an entrance, because we'd gotten into making entrances of all kinds in different places, theaters that we played, and we played opera houses became where Labelle played mostly. And this is the granddaddy of all opera houses in America. So we were wearing nightbirds, we were birds. We had these feathered trains and headdress, and you know, Sarah had sterling silver breasts, skirt sterling silver with you know, peacock feathers on the bottom. And so John Scherer, who was a good friend of ours who promoted us there, he worked with Ron Delsner, he said, well, let's use the place. And that's what we did. We asked him if we could, I could be flown in, and Sarah didn't want to be flown in, and then Patty could be flown in, and the 2 of us were up for it, and that's what happened. We just went, you know, up in the center. It was really funny because I came down first, and Sarah came up the middle, and then Patty was supposed to come down, and somehow she got stuck. So you see, actually on one of there's a video, you see these feathers falling because she's trying to get herself, you know, her feathered skirt thing unstuck. So, yeah, and that became something that we did in almost all the theaters that we played, and we did on Rock Concert and on television, because it was, you know, we came out of the floor, we came out of wherever you could come out on stage to create entertainment and mystery and surprise. And
You know, this is before the Mothership. This is
Yeah.
before Earth and Fire disappearing on stage.
yeah.
This was, you guys really, you know, brought that kind of theatricality to black music. That
Yeah.
I don't think had been done before.
No, I think somebody, maybe Josephine Baker.
Right.
I'm going to go back to somebody else who was really into costuming and theatrics, and maybe like Eartha Kitt was very into that. So you'd have to go to that generation, or to Hollywood, really, Vegas. So, I mean, just in terms of black females, rock, funk, pop artists, no, you didn't get that. I mean, that opened the door for even someone like Elton John, you know, or if you, I think George, he probably can. I think he came to see us at the Apollo, and that's when, like, okay, I need a spaceship. Let me get a spaceship, you know, and it just kept growing. I mean, Kiss, they had the same Larry Gaspy design for them after designing for Labelle.
Talk about that. Larry Gaspy did you, and did he talk about all the other people he did after he worked
Well,
with you?
Larry, we had the same attorney as George Clinton, P-Funk, and Kiss, Ina Mybeck, and people asked, you know, where'd they get those clothes? And she told them, and so Larry designed for P-Funk and designed for Kiss after designing for Labelle, because that's where it started.
And so,
Her phone's going off.
are you hearing it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Only because I wired my microphone that way, so to my vocal booth.
Okay, I'm
Can you
good to
see
go.
now?
All right.
Rolling?
Yeah.
Rolling?
Rolling.
Mark it.
Nona Hendryx, Finding the Funk, take 2.
So now,
Where were we?
let's pick up this. Why don't you pick up some of that vinyl, pick up the albums, and let's go through them one by one.
What's the first thing?
Yes. What do you remember about that album? It's the LaBelle Nightbirds album.
I remember we were in New Orleans and working with Alan Toussaint and the Meters, and it was funky in there.
Hold up the album for
It
us.
was, yeah, this, and that's what that's LaBelle in full force there. And, you know, working with Alan on this, I mean, we were from New York, you know, primarily Philadelphia, and you go down to New Orleans where it's really, or New Orleans, where it's really, you know, a different vibe. And we stayed there, which was great, because, and then we pretty much lived at the studio, became friends with people. A woman named Potts used to come. She was called Potts because she could cook. She would come in there with the food, and we would eat, and we would sing, and we would hang out, and, you know, that's how this record was made. And James Booker, the
Piano player.
organist,
Yeah.
or piano player, you know, if you listen on, I think it's on Lady Marmalade, at the end, he nods out because James was doing some things, and he just holds that G down, and, you know, we didn't know he had nodded out to the end of to the song ended at the end of the song, because it was still going. The band had stopped, but, you know, the guys were great. Zigaboo on drums, George Porter on bass, you know, Alan, just magical keyboards. And, you know, this was I guess all that we'd done all the years of singing, this was kind of like the culmination of it, this record.
And then because it's a fusion of the North and South.
It is. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, and something like Lady Marmalade, which is, you know, it has that. We didn't know we were going to have that song. We went out to L.A. on our way, I don't know why we went there, on our way to going to New Orleans. That's the wrong way to go to New Orleans. But we went out there for something, and Bob Crew, who we'd known for years and Vicky knew, invited us over to his house. And, you know, Bob, being a bro building writer, it's like, oh, you're making a record? I got a song. You want to hear it? Yeah. So we went to Bob's house, and Bob did. He was on his piano. He's playing songs like, oh, what do you think of this one? What do you think of this one? What do you think of that? And then he played, you know, Lady Marmalade, and we were like, what's that? And we didn't. None of us spoke French. We had no idea what he was singing about, but we really liked the groove. We liked the song, and yeah. And he told us, and it was like, we want that one. So that's how that song came about. And then we were going to New Orleans, and then, you know, the whole vibe on it that Alan did, and yeah, so that's how that came about.
Deep. I thought you'd be interested. Pick up the other one.
Whoa, yes,
I know you guys knew Cameo very well on Larry Blackman.
yes.
So hold that up for us.
Woo. Oh, indeed. We were managed by Vicky managed Labelle and was really instrumental in the change of us from Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells to Labelle, having worked with Track Records and Kit and Chris Lambert. They managed The Who. They'd signed Jimi Hendrix. They had very few artists on the label, and so we ended up on the same label as Hendrix and The Who. And Vicky, loving black voices and black music, and Vicky really actually brought black music to England. And Barry Gordy will tell you today that Vicky is why Motown spread to the rest of the world, was that she brought the Motown Review to a television show that she produced in England.
Ready, Steady, Go, right?
Steady, Go. And, there's the show with Smokey and the Miracles, the Temptations, Little Stevie Wonder, it's like the Motown Review is there. So Vicky's a great lover of black music via Dusty Springfield, Blue Eyed Soul. She manages Cameo, and there's this white English woman managing one of the funkiest bands, Cameo, and I think also some of the influence, like, Candy was like huge. You could not walk down the street and not hear, dun, dun, Candy. Dun, dun, dun. I mean, it just was, still today.
Well, it's like interesting because Cameo is a band, and maybe this is who were able to make the transition from 11 pieces to 4, 5, smaller group, the electronic era, the video era. Why was Cameo able to make that transition where some of the other bands didn't?
I think that was Larry's influence, that he was able to see, where things were going, and that you couldn't carry the old guard with you. You needed to become electric and electronic, because there was so much going on, especially with the clubs and dance music. It wasn't about being a big band, it was about being, having, I think, an entertainment value that was influenced by rock, influenced by R&B, and really melding those two things, and not having, the James Brown big band that he had. It was really about, the funk was really the rhythm section.
Talk about the cod piece.
Well, again, that's sort of the sexuality of funk that, someone like, Cameo or Larry brought to it. As I said, before, that you can see that connection all the way through to Michael grabbing his crotch, and all through. So that the idea of, and there's a lot of things going on in my mind about this, but the idea of taking that area of a man's body and accentuating it, with a color that is like, you can, that says sex, red. If you think of a brothel, you think of those things, and just putting it out there, going like, this is it. This is where it comes from, because that's where funk is all about, somewhere between your legs. It's, if you don't, in the process, when you're in the funk, don't feel something there, then it ain't funky. I'm sorry.
That says that right there. I want you to jump. Let's jump past.
Okay.
Let's jump past Ray Parker, because I want you to talk about this as a black woman.
Oh.
Ohio players.
Ooh. Yes. Wow. Yeah, that was considered risque back in the day, you know. And is that Pat? I think that's Pat.
Oh, you know the girl?
Yeah, I think she was on most of their covers. The one with the bald head.
Right.
Yeah, she was a model.
Oh, it's the same girl?
Gorgeous, yeah. I think
Wow.
it's the same.
I know her from the back better. Actually.
Well, let's just unfold it. Look at that. You know, so you know the funk, you know, is about sex. If you could even James Brown, Sex Machine. Nobody was hiding that, you know, that's what it was about. You know, there were messages were on top of it, but you know, you take the messages away, you take everything away, and you get down to the groove. It's visceral, is what it is, and you know that this cover is saying there's something visceral in here for you. All right, fire, and that's one of the all-time, you know. Let's everybody be on the dance floor from 85 to 8. So.
One last question then before.
Yeah.
What do you think about where this culture, this funk culture, is now in the 21st century? Is it dead? How's it evolved in your mind? Where is it now? Has it been subsumed into other things?
Well, it's really been, in a way, black people have left funk behind, you know, and allowed white musicians to adopt it and, you know, and take it on. And that's kind of, it's unfortunate to me because it leaves, it's underneath everything, you know, it's there. And to, you know, a lot of places I look, there's not even a funk category, you know, there's pop, there's rock, there's R&B, there's hip hop, you know, and kind of funk has been relegated to, you know, a sidebar of hip hop. But you wouldn't have hip hop without go-go, without the funk underneath it. You just, you know, it'd be rap. And you wouldn't have rap, really, without the funk, because that really comes from, you know, the James Brown beats underneath there. So it is something that underpins almost all black music, that you know, you cannot have, you know, the iterations of black music without funk, which the drum and the bass, you know, and the rhythms of the guitar, the spaces in the music that make your body pop. That's, you know, funk is like a puzzle.